Okay, so in life, we all experience ups and downs. There's good times, there's bad times, there's mediocre times. Um, but in order, so when you're in an era of your life, so you have a certain set of circumstances, a certain set of like common things through a certain period of time, right? When you're in an era of your life, the way that you see it, the way that you perceive it, is how you experience it. So it might not be completely factual because the way you experience it is how you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you think you know, what the facts are. Like it's a whole accumulation of different aspects, okay? But it might not be the actual truth. It's true to you because that's how you're experiencing it, but it might not be the actual truth. So, when you're experiencing an era of your life, things can seem a lot worse than they are. Things can seem a lot better than they are. It's all up here. So, this is my quote. Are you ready? In order to see the past clearly, you have to represent the future. So, in order to see a chunk of your life, an era in your life, clearly and truthfully, and not just from your feelings or not being stuck in the past, because okay, in order to see it clearly, you have to represent the future. You have to be the marker for change. So when you're coming out of this era, it's like you're on the ground, or say it's a hard time, you're in a valley, you're like down here, okay, and then you're coming up, you're coming out of those circumstances, out of that era, and you're being the marker for change. So things are changing, and you're going up, 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 and now you're on top of a hill, and you can look down from a bird's eye view, from like God's eye view, and see everything as a whole, as it actually was, not how you down here were experiencing it, how it actually is, how it actually is as a whole. So, when you come out of an era and you're choosing to move on from the past, forgive the past, accept the past, and stop wallowing in it, and stop being a victim of the past, once you get yourself in that mind state of moving on, changing, growing, representing the future, you can look back and see things clearly as they actually were. And it's pretty intense, to be honest. And that music is distracting me. It's pretty intense. But I find a lot of people get really stuck in the past. They get stuck. They hold grudges. They don't forgive people. They don't forgive the circumstances. They still feel like a victim of the circumstances or the people of their past. And they're still really directly attached to the way that they experienced it when they were in it, even though they're not in it anymore. And that's why people build up walls. That's why people have hurt that carries over and affects their lives directly still, because they haven't forgiven or healed themselves or grown enough from their past, from everything in their past. And like literally nobody really, like, in order to heal from the past, you actually have to pay specific attention towards healing from the past. You can't just move. Well, sometimes it happens naturally. You move on and you genuinely forgive and accept the circumstances, and that's healing. That's growing. But if that doesn't happen and you don't decide to like genuinely pay like special attention towards how you've been damaged, how you need to heal, what you've learned, what lessons you've learned, because that's all it is. It's just a bunch of lessons that you needed to learn. And if you don't learn the lessons, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to get better for you. That's a different story, kind of. But yeah, people stay directly attached to their experience of the past rather than being like, hey, you know what? I was wronged and this wasn't the best time for me, but that's okay because everybody has shitty times in life. It's not about me. It's not why me. It's not fuck you. It's just, okay, that happened. That was shitty. I'm validating my pain, and the way that I felt in that time is valid. But I'm moving on now. I'm accepting the past. I'm forgiving the people of my past. Everybody changes. You can't hold grudges, really. And I'm ready to see a better time or a new time or learn new lessons. I'm ready, and I'm not stuck in the past anymore. Until you get to that mindset, you will always be experiencing the past at the same time as the present. Like, you will be attached. Like, your heart, your feelings, your emotions, your experience, your perception will all be attached to the past instead of just letting it go and using it to build yourself up and to build a kind of armor or add little things to your perception that help guide you in a better way rather than in a negative way. You will always be experiencing the past all the time if you don't just forgive it and let go and learn your lessons and move on. So until you decide to do that, your idea of the past will be all fucked up. It'll be your idea of the past when you were 8 years old. That can't be accurate. It can't. So until you decide to do that, you come out on top, look down, and say, oh, wow, that's a lot different than I thought it was. Or, oh, that's exactly how I thought it was. You know, like sometimes things are worse than they seemed, sometimes things are better than they seemed, sometimes things just are. You just look at it, validate it, go through it. Like, once you see it clearly too, it's a lot easier to know what you were supposed to gain from it or how it affects you today, because you can see it as the truth that it is and say, oh, that's the reason I am why I am today. Like, look at your childhood. In order to see the past clearly, you have to represent the future for yourself. You have to be willing to let go and change and move on instead of feeling hurt all the time about it or feeling like a victim. And that's the only way that things will become clear. You can forgive people for a lot once you've gone through your course of time with that pain. It gets a little tiring to carry around all the time, especially when it affects your life. The past affects your present and your future if you hold on to it. But if you learn from it, well, I guess it affects your present and your future either way, but it affects your present and your future negatively if you're stuck in the mindset of how you were in that point of time. But if you've moved on, if you've grown, if you've accepted it, if you've forgiven it, it benefits you. It's a gift, okay? The past is a gift. Just like the present. Get it? Because present is a gift. But yeah. And it's hard work to go through, and yeah, I keep getting flashbacks now that I'm like at a certain peak on my course of life, I can look back and see things as they actually are. And sometimes in the past, I would get stuck in this victim kind of mindset where it felt like I just had it really bad. And the only thing, like, I honestly attribute a lot of my progress to just the thought that somebody has it worse than you. Like, yes, somebody has it better than you, but you can't dwell on that. Somebody also always has it worse than you, probably 1,000 times worse than you. It's just life. So who are you to complain when you're in the middle? Someone else who has it worse than you, someone has it worse than them, and someone has it better than them. Like, who are you? You just have to experience it truthfully instead of getting stuck in that mindset. But yeah, now that I'm on a certain kind of peak in life, I can look back at the recent past, so the past year, and I can say that I never realized how things actually were, because I was in it. It's harder to perceive things truthfully when you're drowning in all this stuff around you. And I can look back at 10 years ago and be like, holy shit. Like, that makes sense why I am the way I am and how I'm able to forgive people and move forward now, because it's just an experience. I can't blame anybody. I can't not forgive anybody, because all it does is affect me negatively, affects my health negatively, affects my present, my future, affects my present circumstances negatively if I hold on to the past, and there's no point in that. Even if someone did wrong you, that person also has a perspective. They also have their own truthful experience as to why they did those things. It's all connected, and you can't be the victim of someone else's story or your own story, because you're not. You're just a person experiencing something. You're not, I don't know. And that's not me saying your pain, your feelings are not valid, because they 100% are. But holding on to them, clinging on to them, dwelling on them is not going to get you anywhere. You have to grow and move on as a person. And you have to do that for yourself. And if you don't, then you're stuck. So, I don't know. Find a thought, find something that helps you feel okay about it all. Like, for me, it was just reminding myself that somebody has it worse than me. Like, yeah, shit could be better, but shit could be so much worse. Even if you have it really bad, things could be a lot worse than that. There is no extent to which it stops. It's infinite. It could always be better, and it could always be worse. It just is. So just be. You just are. Yeah. So that's it's refreshing when you reach that state. It really is. It's growth and healing. So try your best to feel that inner child in you whose feelings are valid, validate them, and comfort them, but don't victimize them. Just say, you know what, that sucks that happened to you. I am so sorry you experienced that. That's awful. Or, I mean, I guess we're talking about bad times here, so that's awful. Like, you did not deserve that. But what did you learn from it? What did you take away from it? How has it shaped you? Has it shaped you negatively? And those are things you can heal. If something's shaped you negatively, you can 100% reverse it and heal it. As soon as you recognize what has shaped you and how it's shaped you, you can undo it just with your brain. Life will help you do that. How has it shaped you? How has it defined you? How have you let it define you? How has it let other people define you? You know what I mean? Like, just think about it all and be like, okay, that's just how it is. And you can change what you don't like. You really can. Just with your brain, you can change it. If you decide to change it, you can change it. And then ask yourself, how are we going to be different from here on out from those experiences? How am I going to help it? Like, let them help me grow. How am I going to heal myself? How am I going to grow as a person and change as a person? Because that's all it's about. That's all it's about, is change. Nothing ever stays the same. Let it change you positively. You have to, because that's the only purpose that it happened. That's the only reason it happened, is so that you can take something from it and move forward. It'll help prepare you for your future, everything, all the things you are about to experience. Gather your experiences and hold them, but don't cling to them. Don't dwell on them, but hold them as the truth. You know, like that they are something that happened, something that you experienced. Don't feel it from how, I don't know. I feel like I've gotten my point across, okay? So be the marker for change. Represent your future. See things as they really are. Don't cling to how you felt. Don't cling to the grudges, cling to the anger, cling to the hurt or the sadness. Just see it as it was and credit yourself for having gone through that and experienced that. And remember that somebody always has it worse than you, and complaining doesn't do jack shit. Don't be a bitch. Just take it and go.